but I am responsible for the way that I act toward another person, because I oversee the words that come out of my mouth. I oversee the actions that I take toward another person. So therefore, I must guard my heart and my mouth. As I look at the political arena, I see that it reflects the attitude of most of the world. If this is the attitude of the world's leaders, then you know what? I'd rather not follow them or any other persuasion. Everyone has a different opinion on every subject. But just because we do not agree on a matter does not mean that we must assassinate their character. Our words have power in them. Therefore, we must be very careful of what we say to other people and to ourselves. Our words are like a hammer that drives a nail into the wall. You can remove the nail from the wall, but the hole remains. We might say, we say hurtful things and then say we're sorry. We take back what was said, but the pain of our words are still there. My brothers and sisters, we have to be careful of what we say to others, because as we know that words can hurt so bad. Just like it said, that hammer, you can take that nail and you can take the hammer and knock the nail into the wall. You can remove the nail, but the hole is still there. You can say you're sorry, but the hurt is still there. You have to remove that through Jesus. And remember, there's a way out of your mess, and it's JESUS.
Where can you buy a brand new Nissan with a lifetime warranty? Kingston Pike. Hey folks, Gerald Anderson with Ted Russell Nissan. You heard it right. Every new Ted Russell Nissan comes with a lifetime warranty, and that's a long, long time. Ted Russell Nissan on Kingston Pike.
Good morning and welcome to AM 1380 WYSH and Ask Your Neighbor. Ask Your Neighbor can also be heard and seen on our website, WYSHradio.com. And if you are in Anderson, Rome, or Morgan County and have Comcast cable, you can watch Ask Your Neighbor on BBB TV Channel 12. Ask Your Neighbor is the program where you call in and do just that. Ask Your Neighbor. Do you have a comment? Do you have a problem? Or do you have a question? Then call in and ask your neighbor. 865-457-1380 or toll free at 877-711-4005. And for those of you that might be listening or watching on the internet, you can email from our website, WYSHradio.com. Just click on the Contact Us button and email your questions. Now sit back and listen as listeners throughout East Tennessee and the entire world answer your questions on Ask Your Neighbor on BBB TV 12 and AM 1380 WYSH.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Ask Your Neighbor here. We are working our way toward the weekend. It's finally Friday. Hope you're having a fantastic day today. Thanks for tuning in, dialing up, and listening in. Earlier, I'll just get right into it. Going to have Commissioner Anthony Allen on with me here in just a moment. But earlier, and I'll explain why as I go. You guys will get it here. Earlier this week, just checking my email. Hang on, I'm pulling it up right now. And I had received an email from a listener, and it said, Ron, take a look at this. And the listener said, check the Anderson County Library Board meeting minutes at the Rocky Top Library on May 8th, 2025. Director Webb was initially delayed due to a student disruption at the Clinton Library, which resulted in a call for assistance from the Clinton Police Department. The student disruption was due to two 14-year-old children having intercourse in the adult section of the Clinton Library. The incident was reviewed on camera. A police report is available. I got this Monday, and I waited until I could get a hold of the Clinton Police Department. And again, thank you very much to Janet and everybody at the police department, Chief Campbell and all the officers. The police report says on May 8th. Now, remember, school's still going on May 8th. This is school time. This is not like just people smattering in and out of the libraries. On May 8th, at approximately 4:48, I, Officer Stevens, was dispatched to 118 South Hicks Street, the public library, for an indecent exposure call involving minors. I made contact with the library manager, who advised me that 2 juveniles, and then the names are redacted, had intercourse inside the library. She stated that the CCTV cameras had captured the incident. The juveniles advised that they did indeed have intercourse behind one of the shelves in the library. I interviewed both parties separately. Both advised it was consensual. Both parties were released to their legal guardians. Footage has not been taken possession of at this time. This is for documentation only. The reason that I read that, and the reason we're getting ready to talk to Commissioner Allen, is because months ago, we have had numerous conversations about these explicitly sexual guides and books in our libraries, and whether or not they should be, our children should be exposed to them. Many people wanted them completely banned. Some people wanted them just put behind the desk, or even into the adult section, and ask, that they be watched. I know that the books are not even in the Bryceville Library, so when they tell you that they have to have them because it's recommended, that's not the case. But that said, I say this to you, all right? I give you something to think about. These books, and I read part of them for you on the air, and I've got some of the text back here. And when I speak to Commissioner Allen, I'm sure I'm sure he's got them too. The books were basically a guide on having sex, and it was gay sex, regular sex, again, and open to everybody. And a lot of folks were calling for the sheriff to call it pornographic. Now, if you'd have had the pictures, and I showed the pictures here, if you'd have had those pictures on the front of a magazine at Get and Go would be charged with showing pornographic material. That's a fact, period. So folks said, well, just at least put it behind the counter, or put it in the adult room, or put it up high, or do something. And none of that really was agreed to by the library board. They have everything under control, except children. Somebody's 14-year-old daughter, somebody's 14-year-old son using our library to have intercourse in. I don't know how that happens, how we don't have eyes on that, but we could even monitor people if we put the books that were the controversial books that we're talking about into an adult section. if we can't keep up with 2 kids going in there during school days, we're not talking about summertime when things are a little slower. We're talking about, the height of things rocking and rolling. So I was going to talk with Commissioner Allen because he has a vast grasp on this. I'm not even going to say controversy, because it's not a controversy, but a vast grasp on these books. He has an extensive affiliation with the library and libraries growing up. He's got both a story and factual points that I think are important to be heard. So I asked Anthony to be with us. I'm going to take a break, and when I come right back, I'll have Commissioner Anthony Allen on the air with us on Ask Your Neighbor for his perspective. And the main question, do you believe there's a correlation in these books that teach our kids at whatever age they want in the library how to give oral sex, anal sex, gay sex, lesbian sex? Do you think that showing these children that were caught performing what they were taught in those books, do you think the books had anything to do with it? Commissioner Allen's next.
As a homeowner, I'm always looking for peace of mind, especially when I have a costly, unplanned expense, like a cooling system repair or replacement. That's when I turn to the eScore Quality Contractor Network. They're the pros who've been specially trained and approved by TVA and your local power company. The quality contractors are licensed and insured, so you can be assured the job will be done right and inspected for free. Contact your local power company or visit energyright.com to learn more.
It's our grand opening at Rusty Walls Hyundai, and we're celebrating our new facility all month long. This month, you can get up to $7,000 off new Hyundais. This month, you can get up to $7,000 off a new 2024 Hyundai. Yes, that's right, up to $7,000 off a Rusty Walls Hyundai. And remember, all new vehicles come with America's Best warranty of 10 years, 100,000 miles, and 3 years free maintenance. So come celebrate our grand opening at Rusty Walls Hyundai, where it's always a fun day. Visit us online at rustywallacehyundai.com. See you for the days.
Now playing this summer, epic fun at Kentucky Splash in Williamsburg. Be your own star in this summer's runaway hit and brave Berg Island, their massive 7-slide complex. Then turn it down a notch on Baby Berg Island. That's right size for the little ones. Have action hero fun on the triple slides, the star-studded trio of Aqua Twist, Crazy Cruise, and Blue Twister. Then race up to 30 miles an hour on Aqua Twist or slow it on down and laze in Castaway River. Then just when you thought the show was over, there's even more fun in the Wipeout Wave Pool. It's all playing this summer at Kentucky Splash Water Park in Williamsburg. Make it a double feature and stay the weekend, or even the entire week at their campground with full hookups including water, electricity, sewer, Wi-Fi, fire pits, and a bathhouse. Admission is just $15 all summer long. Be the star of your summer and head to Kentucky Splash Water Park in Williamsburg, off I-75, exit 11. Just look for the slides.
All right, my friends, neighbors, I told you that I was going to have Commissioner Anthony Allen on with me. Anthony, good morning. Are you there, sir?
Yes, I am. Good hearing from you, Mr. Meredith. I appreciate you having me on.
Thank you. Were you able to hear my comments before? And I know you're listening on the app or online, so it's a little delayed. Were you able to hear my comments leading up to your telephone call?
You know, I didn't hear the lead up.
I'll tell you. Let me recap real quick.
Sure.
I got an email from a listener. I think it was Sunday. I came in Monday and I looked at it. And the email said that, asked me to check the minutes of the Rocky Top or the Clinton Library Board meeting at Rocky Top Library on May 8th. Director Webb was delayed for the board meeting, and Director Webb said it was due to a disruption, a student disruption at the Clinton Library, which resulted in a call for assistance from the Clinton Library. Upon investigation, that student disruption was two 14-year-old children having intercourse in the adult section of the Clinton Library. Clinton Police Department reviewed the incident on camera. I went and pulled the police report. It happened on May 8th. This is when school was going on at 4:48 in the afternoon. The police were called to the Clinton Library, met with the manager. They questioned the juveniles. The juveniles admitted. They said that they were having sex in the library, 14-year-old children. They said it was consensual. They were released to legal guardians. And so immediately people were saying, see, these books are not just bad, but now they're teaching these kids, and the kids are doing it in the library to which they're learning how to do it. You and I had a conversation probably a year or better ago, and you told me about your experience with libraries growing up, and then your passion and why you're passionate about restricting or removing these books from the library. I wanted you to share that with our listeners, and I wanted your thoughts on if there's a correlation between those books and 14-year-old children having sex in the Clinton Library.
Thank you very much, Ron. I appreciate that. And I want to say clearly that I love libraries. And I've told this story before. I don't think people are listening, but I do love libraries. And I've been involved with libraries my whole life, Ron, since the age of probably 9 or 10 years old, back to 1964 and 1965. Now, the story can get kind of long, but this is the fact about why I love libraries. In the 5th grade, I could ride my bicycle all over Augusta, Georgia, uptown, downtown, around town, everywhere. And one day I rode down beautiful Green Street in Augusta, Georgia. And I went further down Green Street than I used to go. And there was this big, beautiful marble building, the Green Street Library. And as a fifth grader, 10-year-old kid, I walked into this library. And Ron, this typical librarian, came up to me, this sweaty little kid, and she says, "May I help you?" And I said, "Well, I don't know." And she said, "Well, what are you looking for?" And I said, "I don't know." And she looked at me and she motioned with her head and her finger and she said, "Come go with me." And I trotted behind her and she took me up and down the stacks of the books and she filled my arms full of all these books. She said, "You'll like this one." And she just filled my arms full of books. When I could carry no more books, we went to the counter and she asked me my name and address and phone number, and she made me a library card right there on the spot, and I checked out all those books. She put them in this book bag, these two huge book bags that had handles on them, and me being a small kid, I thought the book bags were as tall as I was. But anyway, I managed to balance the books on my bicycle, and I walked back to the house, moving the books from handlebar to handlebar and balancing them on my seat. I got back to the house, and of course my mother says, "Where did you get those books, Anthony?" And I said, "The library." And my mother and I sat down, and we decided to read all the books. I read every book that I brought home, and she read the books too, and we discussed the books. When the books were due back, my mother, got into the car, went back to the library, and we walked in with all these books, and I put them in the return book deposit. And my mother and the library were having this conversation. There's two, ladies talking quietly and pleasantly. I was just in the background, kind of looking around like a, 9 and 10-year-old boy should be doing, not bothering two adults talking. When they got finished talking, my mother turned to me and she said, "Anthony, I'll pick you up in about an hour." And she left. I turned to the librarian and she had the twinkle in her eye. And she said, "Come go with me." And once again, Ron, we went up and down the road in the library. And once again, she filled my arms with all of these books. And, this went on for about maybe 3, 4, maybe even 5 months of me going to the library, my mother leading me there with this librarian, and the librarian saying to me, "Come go with me." And she gave me books on Albert Camus, The Three Musketeers, Nancy Drew, The Hardy Boys, Sherlock Holmes, all of the inventors, George Washington Carver, William Graham Bell, Benjamin Banneker, Greek and Roman theology. That's what she filled my mind, my arms with all these books. And I read all of these books. I read about astronomy, the ocean, continents, places. And that was my experience. That's why I would love libraries. And, of course, what she did, Ron, was she focused my mind on outward things. I wasn't focused on me, who I was, a boy, gender, color, hair. It was all these dreams beyond me. The moon, the stars, ocean, inventors. And, of course, when I graduated, I wanted to be an engineer. And because of that experience, Ron, of this librarian taking me under her wings and giving me all of these books, I applied to Georgia Tech, and I went to Georgia Tech as an engineer.
Wow.
A kid whose dreams were formed by the library. And when I got to Georgia Tech, guess where my favorite place was? The Georgia Tech Library, okay?
Yes.
And so whenever the frat brothers wanted to find Anthony, they would just walk around the library and say, "Hey, man, can we borrow your car? Hey, man, you want to hang out with us?" and I would say, look, I got some studying to do, but I was hanging out in the library. That was my home. I loved the libraries. When I graduated, I moved to Oak Ridge, got my family settled in, and the next thing I did was to go down to the Oak Ridge Library. And from there, I learned about Oak Ridge. I learned about the area. I learned more about the plants and, why they're in this area and, how they got here and the people. And it was in the library, the Oak Ridge Library. Well, I went back to school to get my master's in computer science. Guess what, Ron?
What?
My favorite place at UT, working on my master's degree, was the 6th floor of the UT library.
Yes, sir.
That's where I spent my time at. Ron, I love libraries because they gave me a vision that I could never have had I not had a librarian there that just took me under her wing. And I will never forget her words, come go with me. And to this day, Ron, I've committed myself to find her relatives.
Oh, wow.
Because I want to tell her relatives what this lady did for me.
Yeah.
I never felt uneasy with her. She would just had a twinkle in her eye. Just a very, very stereotypical librarian. And so I have a love for libraries because I have always been involved with libraries, and they shaped my whole life by having a librarian tell me, come, go with me. So from the Green State Library in Augusta, Georgia, to the Georgia Tech Library, to the, Oak Ridge Library, to the UT Library. I mean, you can find me in bookstores too. So I have a passion for libraries. I love libraries because I know what they can do.
I wanted you to tell that story, Anthony, because you had shared that with me some time back. I wanted you to share that story because you have been you've championed the removal of these books in the Clinton Library. I want you to explain the books, explain your position, and what you think needs to be done. And again, if there's a correlation between the books and the incident that happened toward the end of the school year in the Clinton Library with 2 children.
Yeah, people think that somehow I'm this person that wants to remove books without reason. They call it book banning.
Yeah.
And, I'm not the chair. Some of these questions I can answer, but, the questions probably need to be answered by the library board leadership. Certainly I would like to help with the leadership. And when people talk about banning, we're talking about, and you've seen these books, Ron.
Yeah.
We're talking about some horrendous, sexually explicit materials.
As a 5th grade boy, had you been given that material, do you think you'd be the man you are today?
Ron, when you say that, my eyes fill with tears because I know as a 5th grade little boy, had I seen that stuff, I would be ruined. I would have 4 or 5 or 15 baby mamas, I would be no good for anything. But like I said, the librarian didn't focus me on myself, my gender, my hair, my skin color. She focused me on Jupiter, Mars, Benjamin Banneker, Alexander Graham Bell, Greek Roman mythology, like adventure books, the Hardy Boys. I was always trying to find an adventure. I was a kid in the neighborhood that if you wanted to have a good time, if you wanted to have an adventure, just go by Anthony's house. There's something going on over there. I would have a telescope in the yard. What are you doing, Anthony? We're looking at the sunspots. We have a filter on the telescope. Tonight you come by the house and we're going to be looking at Venus and Mars. That's the kind of kid I was because of the library. I would be ruined, Ron, had the librarian given me those types of materials.
So when people are comparing you and trying to say you're wanting to burn books, ban books, and they start to say stuff like going back to Nazi Germany and things of that caliber.
Yeah.
Again, I wanted to lay that groundwork. Now I would like your position on these books and what you think needs to be done and how that may or may not be accomplished.
I think that if people want books like that, they should be man enough and woman enough to go to a porn shop. And these books are so horrendous that the porn shop wouldn't even carry these books because they're about children.
Yes.
And I can't even describe these things. You've seen these things.
I showed it on the air, Anthony. I did. I showed the oral sex between two little boys. I showed the pictures on the air.
Yes.
Yeah. It's lucky I'm still here because really that's a fine by the FCC to show disgusting stuff like that. But my kids can get it in the library.
Yes, sir. And so, my position is that this area is scientific. It's very, very technical. People are experts in the trade. And I would be in favor of infusing our library with books that really relate to the people of the area. I had an Appalachian storyteller talk about his stories about Appalachia. I would like to have STEM books. We have engineers and very excellent trade schools
for
people. And this ideology that tells children to look at themselves constantly, that doesn't create dreams in the minds of children. I think that books like that have no place in a public library. Taxpayers should not be funding material like that.
Yes.
That's just common sense to me, that taxpayers do not want to be funding those types of material. And this isn't book banning. They can go to some bookstores and order books like that. I'm not saying, ban the books and burn the books. It's just that the taxpayers should not be paying for books like that. If, these people, I'm not going to call their names, but I can characterize them as being very, very liberal. If they want things like that, they should be man enough and woman enough to go to a bookstore and order that book for themselves. Ron,
yes.
I know you would not bring any of those books in your house.
No, sir.
You wouldn't put them on a high shelf or a low shelf. You would not put them, in some kind of area where children can't get them. The very fact that they would be in your house, they would not be allowed.
Yeah.
And they should not be allowed in the library.
Anthony, as
a high shelf, a low shelf, under the shelf, at some strange place, behind the counter, they shouldn't be there, period.
I think people don't know how we come by our library board. The Anderson County Commission seats 2 people on the library board. So I want you to understand who the elected officials that are responsible for the people that have this stuff in the libraries. And now we have children literally acting it out. And not just reading about it, but they're doing it in the Clinton Library, 14 years old. The city of Norris, they get a seat on the board. So the elected officials, each city councilman, they discuss it. Then they put somebody on the library board. You guys, if you approve of these books and kids having sex in the library, let your city council members know. Clinton City Council puts one child or one person on the board, and so does the Rocky Top City Council, and then commission puts 2. So I've said this, and people have heard me say this. This still comes back down to elected officials, but it's so many layers and so many tiers that the normal normal citizen doesn't know that. They just see this is library board. Well, you need to pick your phone up and call your city council person, your city mayor. You call Scott Burton, or you can call whoever, and you tell them you agree with what's in the Clinton Library and you support them, or you tell them you don't agree, and they need to fire the board members and put people in that think like you think, or that like I think. I don't know how you think. Maybe you think it's great, it's wonderful, you like your kids having sex at 14. I don't, period. So, Anthony, is there anything you would like to add with regard to, I know there's going to be some upcoming conversation about this, but is there anything you'd like to correct what I said on or add to the conversation?
Well, we can talk more about this. I was letting you lead.
Sure, you take. You just whatever. I brought you on because I know of your passion for it.
Yeah, I've let people know that I would like a seat on the library board, and that isn't up to me. It's up to the other commissioners to make that appointment. But, now I'm not the chair. A lot of questions need to be asked of the leadership, how they feel about what has happened. And let me just say this, too, that there are some great people on the library board, and they have done their due diligence to address the issue. And they're overwhelmed with people who think differently about those books. But I'm going to tell you, you asked the right question. As a young man, a young boy, just a guy riding a bicycle, it would have ruined my life forever, Ron. I would not be able to recover from that. But, here I am, rambling wreck from Georgia Tech, a master's in computer science from a great school, UT. I had a wonderful career as a software designer. If you hung out with me, and my friends know I'm going to talk about networking and strange ideas, AI. I have one friend, we're all into that. I would not have been able to accomplish those things because, and once again, I want to say that I love libraries, and they focus me away from myself, focus me into the bigger world. And I can imagine, it's almost unimaginable that I would fall prey to having my mind focus on me. And I love children because I know what the library did for this little kid.
Anthony, let me ask you this. When you share that story and you say, had these books been there, I'd have 15 baby mamas and this. Why do you think that the people in power, the people in leadership, why do you think that they debate that? I mean, you're telling them, look, I am a product of the library, and if I had seen such stuff as this, that's what I would have experimented with instead of engineering. Why do you think they discard that?
That's a great question, and I don't want to disparage anybody, but I do have my opinions about that. I think it takes courage to have a moral Christian worldview.
Yes.
And I believe that as a commissioner that, I am my brother's keeper. And, as a Christian, we say that, I'm my brother's keeper, and we mean that. Well, as a commissioner, I am still my brother's keeper. And how do I make that step there? Because we do fund the sheriff, and so that's keeping our brothers safe. We do fund the schools, so that's keeping our brothers' children safe. And so as commissioner, I still take the Christian worldview that I have to be my brother's keeper. And when it comes to like the libraries or EMS, or our ambulance service, our police service, the sheriff, I still see myself, as keeping my brothers safe, educating my brother's children, being due diligent in my activities to be, make sure that the county resources are handled properly. I'm still watched by God.
Yes, sir.
Every move. And so I feel that pressure every vote. And when it comes to these books, Ron, I want to make sure that my brothers and their children, they have an experience that I had in the library, to have a focus outwardly, a focus on the world beyond my own self. I never dreamed that I would be an engineer. I never dreamt that.
Yeah.
But you know what? It was planted in my mind through the library. I love children because I know what a library can do for children. And so I would like to just, help out in that area. I'm quite sure that my passion will just, make the library better. And I will work diligently. Ron, you may not know this, but I'm the guy, when I came here in the late 1970s, that I instituted the Martin Luther King celebration.
No, I did not know that.
Yeah, I'm the guy that convinced Dr. Smallridge and the Oak Ridge School Board to make the Martin Luther King holiday a school holiday. That's how we got it.
Oh, wow.
Then I had some more passion and drive. I went down to the Oak Ridge City Council. I talked with Ed Nephew and Pat Rush, talked with the city council down there. I stood there at the microphone and had my little 3 minutes. And I convinced the Oak Ridge City Council to make Martin Luther King a city holiday. Then I wasn't done, Ron. I went down to the Anderson County Commission. Miss Holloway was on there.
Jackie Holloway.
Remember Whitey Hitchcock and I think was it Mr. Scarborough on the...
Yeah, Carl Scarborough, Jackie Holloway. Yeah,
yes,
I remember all of them, yeah.
So
I knew all of them. All of them.
I am that guy. So I convinced them to make it a county holiday. Ron, I love Oak Ridge. I love Anderson County. Why? I wouldn't do things to harm people. I do things to bring people together. People can love one another more so kids can have dreams. It doesn't matter to me, Ron, if a kid wants to be a rocket scientist, an engineer, an auto mechanic, but allow the child to have a dream, to be what they want to be. And the life and what we're having in these books is focus kids on, themselves. Let me just put it that way. We can characterize it,
Well, I'm getting ready to give a few details about them when you and I finish our conversation before.
Yes, sir. But so I don't know why commissioners would fight about doing what's right and good and honest for children. Well, I want every child in Anderson County to have dreams. They could be a rocket scientist. They could be an auto mechanic. My best friends are auto mechanics, right? We all have a best friend like that.
Sure.
And they come to me for computer and engineering things, and I say, hey, my car's broke down. Can you help me out?
Yeah.
I love people. I love people that are doing what they love to do, Ron. Yeah. I don't have this thing where I'm a big shot engineer. You're just, this and that. I wasn't even raised that way.
Sure.
I was raised to love people for what they do and their character and things of that sort. I don't get into skin color and race and all that kind of stuff because I wasn't even raised that way. Like my parents didn't dwell on things like that. When I brought those books home, they said, we're going to read all these books, Anthony. I said, we sure are. We had a great time doing that. And when I graduated from Georgia Tech, one more thing. I don't even tell this. My first night there, they beat on my door. They yelled, horrible racial things through my door. They poured water under my door. When I got up that morning, there was a noose hanging on my door.
Oh, no.
And I had to go to class, and I went to the library. I said, I'm not going to go back to my room. That's just crazy. I'm just going to hang out in the library and study, and when I get back, I'll just deal with whatever's there.
Yeah.
And so I went back, and there were some guys in the dormitory. They said, man, we're sorry. We didn't want these guys to do that. And they apologized. I don't hold grudges about things like that because my goal was to be an engineer. Now, and that was very, very important to me. So, but the other bigger point is that they may have called me names, did some horrible things and said horrible things about me, but there was a day that I was standing on stage, and the president of Georgia Tech said, Anthony Allen has earned the rights and privileges to receive the electrical engineering degree. And I was standing there, and the guys that treated me in a horrible way, guess what, Ron?
What, buddy?
They didn't make it. They didn't make it. The one who they trashed, talked about like a dog, I went across that stage. And when I went across that stage, there was this loud, booming voice that came from the rafters. And this booming voice said, that's my boy. That was my dad, who was an electrician in the U.S. Army. He taught soldiers how to be electricians. And his son was an engineer, an electrical engineer. And when my dad said, that's my boy, that whole auditorium just tore up in laughter and hand clap because they understood.
Yeah.
They understood, and that's what I want for the children in Anderson County, to be able to have an experience that is full of love to overcome difficulty. Don't hold grudges. Just keep doing the best you can do. Don't worry about what people are saying about you. They said it about me. And my last point, the ugly things that people have said about me on commission, I had never turned into those ugly things, Ron. They can call me, they can say ugly things about Commissioner Allen. They can accuse me of all kinds of things. They can mischaracterize my intent. But I had never turned into any of the ugly things people say about me. That's how confident and that's how grounded I am in my faith.
One thing, as a commissioner or a possible library board member, is it your objective to remove these books completely from the libraries?
I will follow all the rules and regulations and procedures. I think that there are people in our community, they are watching the libraries very, very carefully. And, they are identifying books that they feel are objectionable. But, I'm not a wrecking ball.
Yeah.
I'm not some guy that's just chomping at the bit. I'm going to go in there and bang. I'm a quiet guy. I'm an engineer. I work in security, high-level security, so I don't talk much. But I do want to get things done. I do understand that there are some quiet constituents out there that were treated horribly.
Yes.
And you know this too, and they're quiet people.
Yes.
And
meek people.
They are very, very concerned about the leadership. And I throw my name in the hat, and that isn't up to me, but they are concerned about the current leadership.
Yes. And
I'm not a wrecking ball. How could I be a wrecking ball? Okay.
Yes.
I build things. I build community. I'm a former superintendent of a Sunday school. I taught Sunday school. I love people. People that disagree with me, you know, I try to get along with them. I had two friends that hated one another. And we would go to lunch sometimes, and they wouldn't talk to each other, but they would talk to me. I had two conversations, Ron, at lunchtime sometimes, because I just want people to get along. I'm willing to listen to people. I will listen to arguments that I disagree with, you know, and I will try to understand them. I don't like mischaracterizing people because I disagree with them. If I disagree with someone and someone tells a lie about that person, I will say that's not true. I say I may disagree with them, but that's not true about that person.
Sure.
And like my friends know that. Don't come to Anthony with a lie because he's having difficulty with a person. Because I will say I don't agree with this person, but what you're saying about this person is not true.
Well, I appreciate you. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, so I'm not some kind of wrecking ball. I'm not a book burner. I love books. My house is full of books. I got books that need to be put in place somewhere. You know?
I got it. Anthony, thank you for being with me this morning. I really do appreciate it. I wanted your perspective on here. I know that you are you've offered yourself to be on the library board. I know that we've got commissioners that have defended these books. We've also got commissioners that are offended by these books, and so I'm just curious to see how this all ends up. And I thank you for taking your time today to speak with me, sharing your story. I thought it was an inspirational story when you told it to me more than a year ago, and I think it was just as inspirational today. And I hope that if you are on the board, people respect that you've got the experience of living in a library when you go to make decisions about how things should be done in one. Thank you, Anthony.
Thank you, Ron. I appreciate your perspective so much, and you're doing a great job with telling people, giving people information.
And I'm not showing the pictures today. I'm not joking when I say I could have been fined. I could have got in trouble for the pictures that I show. That's the truth. You're not allowed to show them on public television, even cable television. And in very many, in fact, in a number of media platforms, they have the same restrictions as adult pornography. These pictures, these books that I'm getting ready to tell you about, all right? One book they're talking about is called Gender Queer. It's for older teens. It is found often in school libraries. It's controversial because it's a graphic novel memoir that exposes non-binary identities and illustrations of sexual exploitation and coming of age. They say it is the most frequently banned book in recent years in the U.S. Number two, this is the title. This book is gay. It's controversial because it's an LGBTQ sex education book. It speaks bluntly about gay sex, gay identity, and children coming out. Number three, the book is called It's Perfectly Normal for 10-year-olds. It is an illustrated guide to puberty sexual health. There are drawings of nudity, demonstrations of masturbation, and illustrations and sex education. 10 years old, my friends. Number four, All Boys Aren't Blue. It's a memoir and a frank discussion of sexual abuse, identity, queer experiences, including very sexually explicit passages. It's for teens. And number five, Beyond Magenta. It's controversial. It's a nonfiction book profiling non-gender teens. It includes very candid discussions of their sexuality and sexual transitions. Well, that's just five of many that are. I think there are some that are more challenged than others. I also want to do this. Now, I know that there are a couple of commissioners that support, or at least they supported these books being available. And I do want to give you the opportunity to be heard. If you'll text me, my phones are completely full right now, but if you'll text me, I'll clear a line and call you. In fact, I've had commissioners on. Commissioner Josh Anderson defended them in here on the radio, so I'm not putting words in his mouth. He did it. I can go back and play it for you if you'd like me to. I've had other commissioners that have defended it in so much as leaving them available, not taking them out. Not so much endorsing the books, but the availability of the books. I'm certainly not going to put words in people's mouths. But if you do want to be heard and you can't get through on the phone, if you'll text me, I'll make a way. If you are one of our elected officials, Mayor Mitchell in Norris, Mayor Burton, Clinton, Mayor Templin, Rocky Top, if you guys would like to, call in, if you guys are trying to and it's busy, let me know, because I think people need to know that you guys and your city councils are who appoint these boards. Chairman Mays of Anderson County, your commissioners, your chairman of the commission, appoint the people to these boards. These are the people that should be held accountable, the mayors, the city councils, and the county commission. It's not just some far-off benign group doing it. It's the people you elected, you voted for. You put these people in here, and you have the power to change it. I'm going to go to the phones. They're blowing up, so let me get this done. And again, most of you have my cell phone number. If you don't, if you're a commissioner and you don't, reach out to Commissioner Isbell, he does. If you're a city council person and don't, reach out to Mayor Burton, he does. So if you don't have it, someone you know does have it in the political realm. Good morning, WYSH. Welcome to Ask Your Neighbor.
Yes, my name is Deborah Heaton.
Hi, Deborah. How are you, ma'am?
Good. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. How's Lucas these days?
He's doing great.
I haven't talked to him since you all were here with David West.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It has. Go ahead, ma'am. I'm sorry. How can I help you today?
Well, I'd like to say I'm a resident of Clinton, and I'm a current member of the Clinton City School Board. And the Clinton Library is literally in my back door, and I'm appalled by what is going on at my local library. I'd like to tell Commissioner Allen that I appreciate everything that he is doing to keep the children safe. I think that order needs to be brought back to the library board in our public libraries. And I think Commissioner Allen would be a great addition to the library board.
Deborah, were you, as a school board member, aware that of the incident of 14-year-old children having sex in the library? Did you know that?
No, I did not know that.
Don't you think that would have been something good to know as a school board member?
Well, I'm over the elementary school.
No,
14-year-olds, that's more like
junior high,
8th grade, high school. So that falls under Anderson County. So, you know.
Yes, ma'am. I got it.
That may be why I didn't know anything about it.
Thank you very much for your call. Anything else today?
No, that will be it.
All right, ma'am. I appreciate you. Have a very nice day.
You too. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You're welcome, ma'am. Bye-bye.
Bye.
WYSH Radio, good morning. Welcome to Ask Your Neighbor.
Brought back to the library board in our public board.
Hi, you're live on the air. So turn the TV down there and your comment, go right ahead.
Okay. This is Myra Mansfield. I have recently been the chair of the Anderson County Republican Party, but I'm not now. And we had organized an effort over the last 4 years against these books, because we felt like that was the right way to defend our community and the potential for things like 14-year-olds having sex in a public building, a public government building, with a potential public audience that could have included children walking around the corner and seeing sex live. That, I think, is just a normal outcome of having these books in the library. And even the fact that these 14-year-olds, they learned how to have sex somewhere and felt comfortable in the library enough to do this. And I feel like our leadership over the libraries has failed to provide safety. We want our libraries to be safe places for kids. Just Anthony's, Allen's story is beautiful about the potential, the impact that our libraries can have on our community children. And I would like to call on the commissioners to change the leadership of the libraries. They have an opportunity coming up in July to put someone else on the library board with a different perspective than those that are on there. Most of them that are on there right now are defending these books, or they're being quiet about it. And so I would like to see Anthony Allen be appointed on that board as a member.
All right. Thank you very much for your comments. Anything else you'd like to add?
I guess that one more thing we did with the Republican Party is we have over 2,000 signatures on petitions that we also worked on, which if you had been there and seen these people signing that when we told them what's going on, they didn't hesitate a second to put their signature on there that they want these books removed. And so we feel like that sets a community standard, which is an important word, community standard. So I guess that's all I want to say.
Thank you very much for your comments. Thank you for listening, and thank you for calling in, Myra.
Okay.
Goodbye, ma'am. WYSH Radio, good morning. This is Ask Your Neighbor this morning. You're on the air.
Hey, Ron, this is Josh Anderson.
But it was live on the air before.
Oh, no, you're fine. I've had it turned down for a little bit waiting to get on, so I might have missed some stuff.
Oh, nothing. Okay.
Yeah, I'm happy to answer questions or...
Well, I had said. Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, yeah. Go ahead.
I had made reference. I said that I've spoken with some commissioners that didn't think taking the books out of the library didn't think removing them. And you were one. You and I had a conversation. You sitting right here. We had that conversation about that. That you didn't think removing the books was the right answer.
Right, and I think we worked out a pretty good compromise that made 99% of the people happy. We've got the books with the illustrations that a lot of people have issues with are behind the desk now. They're
at every library.
Yeah, they're well, they weren't at every library, but
they weren't at the Bryceville Library.
Yeah, they're not at Bryceville. I don't think Rocky Top may have had any either, but right now it's like, do you remember the old Blockbuster video store? You know, you go and you get the movie box and there's no movie in there, so you had to go check it out. Well, basically there's a little dust jacket on the shelf that tells you the title, and it says, this book's available behind the desk or whatever. So that's where you've got to go now in Clinton or Norris or wherever those controversial books were. And of course, if you're a minor, you've got to have a parent's got to check it out for you, or they've got to have pre-approved that you're able to check it out. But they're restricted without being totally removed. So we felt like that was
a good compromise.
That most people could get behind. Now there's still a few people out there that just they want them out of the library. Period.
Let me ask you your opinion about this, Josh. All right, we have the Clinton Police Department was called for indecent exposure call to 14-year-old children having sex in the library. You don't think there's any correlation with them reading books about sex in the library and then actually performing the event?
No, I think that here, and I'll set this up. I don't want to be blunt, but I mean, if somebody thinks that two hormonal teenagers needed that book to get inspired to sneak around and try to have sex somewhere they weren't supposed to, I mean,
maybe at 16 or 17, but 13 or 14. I mean, you have kids. You're going to be all right with them having sex at 13 or 14?
No, I'm not all right. But I mean, that's kind of the bigger issue is that when the middle school lets out, those kids don't have anywhere to go. They're not allowed to go to the community center unless you're enrolled in Boys and Girls Club. So they kind of overwhelm the library.
Yeah.
And I think if you talk to anybody in the school system and stuff, kids are they're doing that at younger and younger ages, and that's why we've got to have we've got to have some better things in place for giving kids something to do with adult supervision, because they're kind of heading over to the library, and I think the staff's doing the best they can. I mean, the police were called immediately, and we had the report filed. So
I'm not really being critical of the staff here at all. My whole point is that it just seems to me, and I'm not some radical conservative by any means. I'm pretty moderate. But it just seems to me, I don't know the purpose that these books serve in an educational environment. I really don't. I mean, it's one thing to speak about the body and how it works and how the reproductive, what sex is. I mean, I had sex ed in school. It's another thing to try and teach kids about alternative lifestyles and then show them how to do it. Like you said, a hormonal teenager don't need a book to show them how to do it, but yet we provide them one.
Well, they didn't have access to that book where they were at. I mean, they weren't there to check out books.
Anyway,
they said, "Hey, I think there's a corner over there. Let's go hide." And fortunately, we had adults in the room that caught it pretty fast. But yeah, that was a bad incident.
So you were aware of it?
We were made aware after at the next board meeting, at the following meeting. Okay. Mariah, she made us aware of it, but we've been having some issues where the police have been called quite a bit to Clinton Library, but it's not been sex related. It's been more of a violence and just harassment kind of issues where the kids get really aggressive and violent towards the staff.
Let me ask you this, though. Why do you think kids think the library is a safe place to have sex? You think it's because the library has the sexual books? I mean, they didn't do it at community center. They didn't do it in the school bathroom. They chose the library. Why did they think that was the correct safe place to do it?
I think they just look for wherever there's an opportunity, and if they're out of school, there's no teacher around. I think they thought, well, they weren't thinking. I mean, that's the problem. The blood's going in a different direction.
I've got 15-year-old boys. I understand. Trey's 19 and the twins are 15, just turned 15. I understand what you're saying. It's a different world than when you and I grew up.
I mean, North Dam State Park, a lot of stuff happens up there with high schoolers at night, and the reason they do it is because they think nobody's looking. Well, I think the staff said, "You're wrong. We're looking. We're watching."
Yeah.
Mariah has requested in the past that maybe the police come and just do a walkthrough.
Yeah.
Periodically, and we're going to go back and ask for that because, we don't want them having sex in the library, but we don't want them cussing out the staff or hitting the staff or pushing the staff, and that's been happening.
I know. Like I said, it's a new world. It's a different.
But here's the thing, and this is where it takes more than just the library board or getting rid of books. You've got hundreds of kids at Clinton Middle School that when school gets out, they have nowhere to go. They're, the parents are at work, whoever's raising them, grandparents, whoever. They've got several hours to kill. They can't go to the community center. And there's no, what are we offering as a community to kind of keep them safe? Now, I think the library is doing the best job they can. I think that's not the first time teens are going to try to mess around somewhere they shouldn't, and probably not going to be the last. But we do need to figure out some kind of after-school programs and stuff for kids to get to deal with that.
Well, I appreciate your call, and I'm glad you took a moment to call in. I've spoken with a number of commissioners over the time that this has been going on. Russell and I have had conversations about it, and I don't know. I sometimes fall to the better safe than sorry scenario. I don't know. Smarter people than me make these decisions, but if somebody asked me if there were two libraries and one had the books available and one didn't, and I got to pick which one my kids went to, I'd pick the one that didn't, because I would hope, and it's maybe a false hope, that those questions could be answered by me. I would hope that. Not everybody, I guess, has that in their family or in their, I don't even know if my kids we've had the talk, but it was like, shut up, Dad, we know.
Well, but the thing is, part of the reason some of those books are there, and they are, they're restricted. They're behind the desk, but there are parents that I don't know how to talk to my kid. I need a book. That's part of where
Well, the for the parents, they're yes, I agree. I just didn't want.
So,
okay.
So you want to either have, do you want to have it available for people that want it or need it, and then if somebody doesn't need it, they don't have to use it. But again, I don't think they were browsing the bookshelf and said, "Hey, man, look at this! I want to try that." I don't think that's how that.
Okay.
In this situation, but now as far as the, the vote for the library board.
You think Anthony would be good on the library board?
I don't personally think so. I think, and he early on he blocked me from his social media to try to keep some of this stuff to himself. But he's bragged about taking on the deep state in Anderson County. He's had, people have called the library directors pedophiles and stuff. I mean, you know a lot of the library directors. I do. Oh, you don't believe that?
No.
It would be like these protesters that get out and say they want to defund the police, but they apply to be on the jail committee or the civil service board or something. It's like you're letting you're letting somebody that's really been hostile to the library being on the library board. I don't think that's a new perspective or a balanced perspective. I don't think it's an objectivity thing. I think it's specifically to try to undo something you don't like about it. So
did you hear his comments today?
Yeah. I heard him. I just don't believe him.
That's what I was just getting ready to ask. So you just don't believe what he said? Okay.
No, I think it's, they accuse the librarians of having an agenda, but I don't. Something for everyone. There's hundreds of books on Christianity and different Bibles and translations of the Bible. Out of 50,000.
Yeah. Okay.
That's my personal opinion. I was surprised a few months ago. I got an award from the Tennessee Libraries Association for Trustee of the Year. So, the state, and I think there's been an article in the New York Times about what's been going on in Clinton with library board issues and stuff like that. So, I mean, people are kind of watching. So
I agree.
I think I get it that some of this stuff's offensive to people. There's a lot of the books that I don't particularly care for, but when you start down that road of this bothers me, we should ban it, or I think this is obscene, then you kind of it just keeps going. I think there's places somebody could make the case if somebody wanted to. They could say the Bible's obscene. Let's get rid of the Bible. So I don't want to get rid of anything in the library books or in the libraries. I roll my eyes when people want to get rid of Dr. Seuss books or something like that, or Mark Twain or something.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and that's where I think too. I think both sides of the political spectrum have books they would like to get rid of.
I understand.
And I think that the pendulum can swing either way, and if you start down that road, it just starts to spiral out of control.
Well, I will see what all the rest of the folks have. I will add this. I've been on both ends with Anthony. The agreement and the disagreement. When the Republican Party did the bona fide Republican thing, it caused some problems in my household because Tracy voted somewhere else, she wasn't quote unquote bona fide. And
right.
I had some conversations about that were aggressive. I'll just say that. But I will tell you, Anthony's never, even in those, Anthony was not hostile to me. I've never known him to be hostile I don't know if he's hostile to the library or not, but I've never noticed that. I wanted to put that in there because you did say you felt like he was hostile toward the library.
I mean, hostile online. I mean, more of a keyboard warrior type thing. I mean, he's as nice and polite as can be in person, but I mean, he says things that are,
okay,
I think hateful to the librarians. But no, I mean, I'm right there with you on the issue with Tracy. I think you got to grow the party, and you can't be constantly trying to divide or kind of have this kind of purity standard or anything. If you really want to grow the party, you're going to go extinct if you just try to keep things a certain way. Donald Trump's better than anybody in recent memory as growing the party. I mean, he flipped states that hadn't been flipped since Ronald Reagan, you know.
Well, and that was, I actually said to Anthony during this little controversy, I said, you know, under these rules, neither Elon Musk or Mr. Kennedy would be able to vote.
Right.
So I understand it. That's a whole different issue. I'll have you up and we'll talk about that one day too. So thank you for calling in, Josh.
You bet.
Have a great day. Bye-bye. Good morning, WYSH Radio. This is Ask Your Neighbor. Hi.
Hi. I was just calling in about this, and it's very disheartening what's going on down there. I grew up in Clinton, and I went to that library almost every day after school. And in my generation, there was nothing like that going on. The most you saw was a child holding hands or maybe stealing a smooch.
Yeah.
And it starts at home, I do believe, and it starts with you teaching your children.
Agreed.
And Christianity is very important. And I think we need Christian leadership on that library board. I think it's too liberal, and we need that.
Well, you say you're a Clinton citizen, right, City of?
Yes.
I'd let your city council person know, because that's who we'll be appointing for any openings on the board.
Well, thank you very much for letting us know about these things that we don't hear about.
You're very welcome. It's my pleasure, man.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
And I'll clear something up, too. Understand, it's not necessarily just saying, oh, these books need to be taken out. Understand, this is your tax dollars that buy these books. You're buying them. So if you agree with it, okay, you agree with it. But if you don't agree that your money should be used to buy that in the library, then all this program is to do is to educate you. You guys will hear my opinion, but you will also hear others' opinions, just like Josh. And I didn't interrupt him. I didn't argue with him. I didn't fight with him. I might have disagreed with him, but I'll let you have your say. I present this to you, and I'm telling you, you can choose to just stick your head in the sand and, you know, go to work tomorrow morning, or not tell if you're listening right now and you've got a son and he's got, or a daughter, and they've got children in the Clinton system, you know, you don't have to call and tell them what's going on and what you heard on the radio. But if you do, maybe they and you can go express their opinions. Keep them, get rid of them, put them behind the counter, whatever the case might be. I'm just here to turn on the lights, and you guys can handle it the way you want to handle it. I know how I feel, and I'll tell you how I feel. That doesn't mean that it's right nor wrong. It's what Ron feels, and I can justify my position of what I think. And I just feel like you guys need to know it. You guys, again, Clinton, Norris, Rocky Top, your city council in those municipalities appoint one each for 3, and then the county appoints 2. So now what's going to happen to this library board is going to rely on those of you that are listening, and whether or not you're brave enough to have conversations with other people about it, or whether you put it on social media, spread and get the word out, or you just, you know, wait till the music comes on and enjoy that, and then this program just goes away and doesn't do anything. Good morning. Welcome to Ask Your Neighbor. Thank you for holding on, and good morning. How can I help you?
Hi, my name is Jess-Ann Cole, and I'm on the library board.
Yes,
Am I live now?
Yeah, you're live right now, Jess-Ann.
Okay, thank you. I listened to what Josh had to say, and all the library board, we get along fine, but I just want to express a different side of a different perspective.
Yes.
He talked about 99% were in agreement with how this situation has been handled. I don't think that that's accurate at all. Myra talked about having 2,000 names, and really there hasn't been tons and tons of effort. There are lots and lots of people that haven't seen that petition at all. So I 99% that are in agreement, I think that that's pretty high.
Frankly, I didn't know about the petition myself, and in the media, I would have thought I did, but I didn't know about a petition.
Yes, and so, if that petition was circulated more, then who knows? But in my world, the majority of people are not happy that those books are in the library. I also do think that there's a correlation between the police being called and what happened and the books that are in the library. Josh said, well, kids have sex in the park. But a park is a really big place, and there are a lot of trees, and there are a lot of people that could be having sex as opposed to a few stacks in a library. So I find that very concerning. And what happened is we had a board meeting, and we were told that Mariah would be late because police were involved. And we did not know exactly what happened until a month later, the following meeting. I'm sorry all those kids, come to the library after school. I think the board needs to look at that and come up with some rules. I know the library is a public place, but the librarians complained about when the books were in the children's section. They said, we are not the babysitters. We are not going to watch, who reads those books, and we're not going to babysit. Well, we're babysitting after school. So that definitely needs to be looked at. Another thing that the board needs to do is look at donations. Books are donated to the library. Okay, all books that are put in the library have to be approved by the board. But if books are donated and the librarian chooses not to put them in there, then the board never knows about those books. And so I understand there have been some books donated that reflected a different point of view, a very conservative point of view around sexual topics. And the board never saw them, and they were brand new books valued at about $50, and the donor was not given the books back. And there's another book that I'm concerned about. So the library board needs to appoint a smaller committee to ensure that all 4 libraries have the same policy about books that are donated. And it may be that the board is going to have to ask for a list of books that were donated but chosen not to be on the stacks. So the board has a lot of work. A lady mentioned that we have to have a Christian board. Well, I'm definitely a Christian. I pray for this library all the time. But it's hard. It's hard when the liberals are in more of a minority. So we do have a lot of work to do. And this subject isn't just dead. And I really appreciate you giving me a chance to speak.
Ms. Cole, thank you very much. Thank you for your service to the library. Thank you for calling in. And I really appreciate those of you all that have the courage to say where you stand. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome, ma'am. Bye-bye. There you go. 865-457-1380, 877-711-4005. Give another shout out to the Clinton Police Department and what great work they do. My son Jacob left his backpack at J.C. Park yesterday. Somebody found it, or they found it. They called me and they said, "Hey, Ron, we found your son's backpack." They brought it to me. Or they brought it to the house, and then later on they accommodated getting it back to Jacob. He's with his mom. But thank you. They didn't have to do that. Our just remember all of our first responders and all those folks, man, they do that. They're such great, not everybody, but they're overall as a team, they're great servants to our community. And we are blessed to have what we have in EMS, fire, paramedics, police in the city of Clinton, and even our elected officials in the city of Clinton. All right, guys, there you go. There's your bone today. You guys are doing a good job. Good morning. Welcome to Ask Your Neighbor.
Yes, Ron. I just wanted to voice my opinion.
Okay.
I think that Anthony should be on the library board, and the votes should be distributed.
All right, ma'am. Thank you very much.
That's all I had to say. Thank you.
You're welcome. Goodbye. Good morning, WYSH. Ask Your Neighbor.
What's going on, Mr. Meredith?
Hey, David Queener. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good today.
It's a busy phone day.
Nice day outside. In reference to Clinton City Council, Mayor Burton appoints board members. We really don't have too much say-so in it. He might ask us if we know anybody or something like that, but we don't. As a group, Mayor Burton appoints the board members of all different types of boards that serve the city of Clinton.
All right.
I don't even know. I don't even know who's on the board. I don't even know who from us is on the library board. I guess I could get on the website and look and see who our rep is, but I don't even know who it is. I've never heard the mayor say in the last 2.5 years that I've been on there, hey, we got to put somebody on the library board.
So Scott just makes those appointments himself, like to CUB board.
Yeah, he makes those appointments, and he, like I said, he might just say, hey, he's doing a library as far as getting a book.
Makes sense.
So, I mean, there was a lady that called just a minute ago and said it starts at the house. Yeah, it starts at the house. You know, if you don't want your kids hanging out in Clinton afterwards, put them on a bus and send them home after school. That'd be one way to do it. Send them on home.
Yeah.
After school, or get the school to change early out days on Wednesday to where school don't get out to the regular time like it does the rest of the time. I mean, you know, I don't personally think the community center or the library is a babysitting service. It's not, and just to let them run wild in Clinton or any place else, you know, it's just not fair. But for someone to think that we can take all the books out of the library, but if a kid's got a cell phone, man, he's got a library in his hand, Ron. You know that.
I do. I just ask, if, with that being said, and knowing they've already got access to it, why should we use taxpayers' money to reinforce it and put it in the library?
That's a good question. It's a legitimate question. It's a legitimate question, and I don't understand why we would even buy books like that to put in the library. You know, if someone needs if someone's needing help talking to their youngster about stuff like that, you know, I'm sure they could go to the library and get online, and they could provide them a place that would be private to where it would just be adults only. They can look it up and do it. But once again, I fall back to the same thing about adults.
Hey, yeah.
If adults if you know, you don't have to really go look for this stuff sometimes. It just pops up on your phone anyway. You'll get it. I mean, people are too smart today to use an excuse. Well, I don't know how to do it. Well, yeah, if they've got the phone, they can do it as an adult or as a kid, or we're blessed with a lot of technology and a lot of great things. But there's also comes along with a lot of those great things, comes along a lot of bad things.
I agree with you, brother.
And it's left up. It ain't left up to me. I've already done my job as far as raising my two. You know, and I can try to help with my grandkids a little bit, but it's left up to my son and daughter-in-law and people like that to raise their kids and do them right. And you know, if you raise them up right at home, then they'll do the right things with theirs too. And you just don't worry about things like this. This never blips on David Queener's radar right here. This never blips on my radar that it would come up with my granddaughter, grandson, or anybody. My grandson's a little bit older than my granddaughter. My granddaughter's 13. I don't worry about this because I know how her phone's controlled at the house. So it don't come up on my radar.
It's not something
that I sit in this chair at 1 o'clock in the morning and look out the window and worry about.
Yeah.
There's a lot of other things that I worry about. That's one of them that I don't worry about because it starts at the house.
Amen.
It starts at the house. I picked my son up after school. I brought him home where he should be, and not the house. I didn't let him run down there. Not that if he wanted to go to the library, I was all for him going to the library.
Yes, sir.
But I would have bet Mom and Dad would have been with him, though.
Yeah.
Not just rampantly. And I understand people have to work today. And I understand they don't get off everybody don't get off at the right times. But it starts at the house. I'm sorry. Somebody can disagree with me and get mad at me if they want to, and that's fine. But I know how mine was raised. I know how I was raised. If I went to the library and done what you said this morning,
yeah, when you got home, it would have.
J.D. Queener and Doc Queener would have beat me to no certain end.
Amen. Same here.
They wouldn't have been no talking about it or anything discussed. They would have beat me to no ends. It wouldn't have mattered what the police told me. It wouldn't have it wouldn't have been good. It's how you're raised at the house, and it starts at the house. It don't start on the sidewalks in Clinton or Oak Ridge or Lake City or North or anywhere. It starts at wherever you live. It starts at the house, knowing what your kids are doing. I'm amazed that people don't have a clue what their kids are doing.
Yeah.
Or where they're at.
Yep.
That amazes me. I'm amazed at that, but that's life today, and that's the way this generation is, or some of this generation is. I shouldn't tag them all because they're all not that way, but that's just how David feels about it. That's just David's feelings. But I don't worry too much about my granddaughter going in the library doing things like that. First of all, or going in the library wanting to do a book because she's got a cell phone. But I don't worry about that neither because I know what goes on with the cell phone just from being how her dad was raised.
Very good. Thank you, David. I appreciate it greatly. And thank you. I for whatever reason, I knew that Scott made appointments, but I thought I didn't know you guys didn't necessarily have.
Nah, we might give a thumbs up. There's not an official vote on it. He makes board appointments all the time. I mean, whether it's to reappoint somebody on the 911 board or the Recreation Advisory Board if somebody comes up. And a lot of people just serve, but I don't know who our rep is. I'll tell you what I will do.
Right.
I'll find out who our rep is. I'll find out who our rep is.
Okay.
I will find out our rep who represents the city of Clinton on the library board. I'll find that out. I know that I know the library is our building over there that we own. I don't know how the funding is actually. There's funding that comes from a little bit of everywhere, goes into to the library board. Man, it's just that you've blown my mind this morning. Of all things you would say to say that, I had not heard that myself.
I had to go pull the report before I'd talk about it.
That's blown my mind. I mean, but I guess to say that and then say this, I don't think it surprises me. It don't surprise me. I don't, it just,
I know
the way things are today, it just don't surprise me that, why two kids would think the library would be a safe place to go. And I could think of a lot of other places I would go besides the library.
Me too, buddy. All right.
I mean, I'm just being honest. I mean, there's a lot of other places that would be. I'm thinking, surely the God that are smart enough to realize there's probably some cameras in there.
There's CCTV.
Not.
No, CCTV. They got it on camera.
That's what I'm saying. So that I've sat here forever. I've debated whether I was going to call in or not, but it just blew my mind that you've reported that. I don't get blown away with a lot of stuff, but that's a new one for David to hear that going on to Clinton Library. Maybe the library board does need to put some rules and stuff in. If kids are not really using the library, I don't need them inside being destructive. We sure don't need them inside if they're hitting on staff and being destructive for the people that actually want their kids or as adults want to go in there to get a book to read or something like that.
Yeah.
Because I know people that are diehard readers, and it's hard for me to pick a book up and read one page, less than read the whole book. So I'm someone that didn't darken the door of the library too much as a youth. So I don't know a whole lot about the library. I have been in it several times, but I don't know too much about it. But other than that, somebody'd have to direct me to where the books were at. I'm just being honest. I'm not I never, I was more interested in sports and playing sports back in the day. So I was more interested in being across the street at the ball field than I was across the street at the library.
Absolutely.
Not saying I didn't go in the library. Not saying I didn't have to do the library thing at school, because I did. So, but I was more interested in sports and doing other things than to worry about, some book in the library. I had yards to mow and things like that. I was too busy. I was wanting to make a little money, get Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Amen.
That's just being truthful. I mean, that's just the way it was. So I don't understand. Kids today are not. I'm amazed at some of the things my granddaughter comes home and tells us.
Yeah.
I'm simply amazed.
Me too.
She said she just turned 13, and I'm amazed at some of the things we hear or some of the things that goes on. I'm amazed at some of the things that goes on in school. I'm amazed at other things. It just simply blows my mind that things are, how things go on.
It's a whole new world.
It didn't happen in 1970 something. It didn't happen, or 1976 when I graduated. Those things didn't go on in schools like that. Not to the extent of things you hear today. I mean, it just didn't go on.
Thank you, Dave. I appreciate you greatly.
All right, buddy, that's just my opinion. It means very little, but it's up to me.
Well, it means a lot to me, and it'll mean a lot to everybody coming up here on the 21st of July for Queener's Corner. A little shameless plug for the show.
Well, I appreciate that. We'll be up there. I'm going to have the city manager with me. We're going to talk about, I know everybody, I've talked about them. I know you've talked about them. We've got great coverage from you on it. But we're going to talk about some of the projects, and we'll talk about the Market Street project. Yes, it's a mess down there right now. I came through there last night, and holy cow, it's tore up even more than it was the day before. And it's going to get worse before it gets better. But at the end, it's really going to be nice, and we'll let Roger talk about that. They're really working hard to get the pool open, and we'll talk about that and some other things. But Roger's agreed to come with me and be a guest on there with us, and we'll get that. We'll get it firsthand, even better than having it from me. We'll get it from the horse's mouth, the guy that's driving the car. We'll get it from him, so it'll be a good thing. And hey, don't forget about the best 6 days of summer. It's coming up July the 14th through the 19th. 5 nights free for kids. Every night except Friday night. Got big truck pulls, got music, got great food, great rides. Come on out to the fair. There's something for everybody, from a little age to an old age to do. And we celebrate. Ron, I need to say this. We celebrated a guy at our last fair meeting last night before the fair. We have a fair dinner. And we celebrated a guy last night. It was this will be his 82nd fair.
Oh, wow.
That he's going to attend. And that's Howard Farmer.
Yes, sir.
82.
Mr. Farmer was up here and showed the pocket knife.
I want everybody to let that sink in just a minute.
Yeah.
82. And he was at the meeting last night, and he attends all the meetings. And in a couple of weeks, when people's entering exhibits, he'll be in a room taking crops, just like he's done and this is going to be my 37th year being a part of the fair. And Harold's been doing it for 82 years. I got a long ways to go to catch Howard. I don't think I'm going to catch him.
You might. Hang in there.
I just want people to let that sink in for a minute. 82 years. So if somebody thinks they've been doing something and they've been doing it for 5 years or 10 years, man, you ain't even a blimp on the radar yet. Like I ain't a blimp on the radar working on year 37. 82 years. My hat's off to Harold Farmer. He's a wealth of knowledge. I enjoy talking to him about the fair. He can tell you things about the fair, and the fair's not always been in the same place. He's a wealth of knowledge. And I know you've had him on the radio before, I believe.
Yes.
But you know what? We might just have him on Queener's Corner.
Bring him up.
There be somebody we bring up there later on, maybe after the fair.
Yeah.
And bring him up there and talk to him, because this 82 years, man. My hat's off to Harold Farmer for serving, first of all, and making sure that, and he was a school teacher forever, and my hat's off to him for his service that he's give, not just to the people of Anderson County, but to the Anderson County Fair. I'm proud to call Harold Farmer a friend, and I'm proud to say I serve on the board that he's on there, and he's been on there for 82 years.
That's great. Thank you.
It is. It's not only great, it's amazing.
It is amazing.
It has to be some record.
It's a lifetime of service and commitment is what it is.
It is. It's a lie, and it just goes to show you that he loves the fair and he loves being part of the fair. And, man, I thank the world of Harold Farmer, because I think he's a great guy, and he's a great ambassador for our fair. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate you letting me run my mouth, and I'll talk to you later.
Anytime. Thank you, David. Bye-bye. Mr. Farmer was here. He brought the pocket knife. He won a pocket knife when he was a young man at the Anderson County Fair in one of the demonstrations. He still had it when he was here on the radio, and what an impact it had on him as a young man, young child, that propelled him into the fair. You never know what you're going to affect through the fair, through the demonstrations, through the farming and all and the livestock. You never know how you're going to inspire a child. I say that. I also say this too. I agree that kids can get anything they want on cell phones, but me and you pay for the cell phones. Parents, not sales tax dollars. There's a difference in it being on their cell phone. We allow that if we do allow it. Parents do, or we don't allow it. We should have the say-so to allow or not to allow what our tax dollars go for. Again, you pick what side you're on. They're your tax dollars. But you're not paying for my kid's cell phone. But you're paying for those books in there. Good morning. Welcome to Ask Your Neighbor this morning. Thank you for hanging on.
Good morning, Ron. This is Jack Mansfield.
Hey, Jack.
How you doing this morning?
I'm good, thank you. How are you, sir?
Very well, thank you. You probably don't know me necessarily, but I'm a retired police officer, and I'm also a pastor of a church. And the main issue with what's going on is all these things that are happening in these books, especially. The books are all promoting sexual activity with children, which is, from a Christian worldview, is sexual immorality. The Bible, in many places, explains what sexual immorality is and why we shouldn't do it. Not only as immorality, it's also health laws. It prevents issues with health, bad things happening to you health-wise.
Yeah.
But in Romans chapter 1, it specifically addresses the issue of homosexuality, and that it sums up the discourse, saying that those that practice these things also encourage and approve others to do likewise. And so why is it that these books have a majority, all the books that I looked at when I went to examine them for myself to ascertain if they're good or bad from my Christian worldview, 100% of the authors are homosexuals. And all of a sudden we have all these books in the library, mostly from what I've observed. And we have a librarian there who brought those books into the library? Who's responsible for them being there? It's the librarian and it's the library board. They're the ones responsible for these books being there. So because they are encouraging this, either by, passively or directly saying, yes, we want those books there, they are complicit and culpable with two 14-year-olds having sex in the library. They are culpable. They are responsible for what happened. It's only a natural result. When you approve something and you encourage it and you make it available, what do you think is going to happen? It's just common sense. And so I stand with Anthony Allen and all those that are opposing these books. Like you said at the very beginning of the show, you couldn't have these books sitting on a shelf at the get and go and children be able to walk up and look at them there, but it's okay if they do it at the library.
Yes.
So this is a bad situation. It needs to be corrected, but as long as the people in charge are okay with it, nothing is going to change. And when you examine, the political world, the people that are on the left side of the spectrum all encourages homosexuality. They're okay with that. They're okay with transgenderism. They approve of all that. And so that we should be pay attention to, who is the leadership here? And that leadership, if they're not willing to take a firm stand for what's right, they need to be removed. We need new leadership. It's obvious that's what needs to take place. And so if you went out and could interview 100% of the citizens of Anderson County, I guarantee you the vast majority, if they fully knew what's in these books and what's available, they would say no to it. The vast majority would.
Yes.
And so the vast majority needs to stand up. And let's get some people in there that'll do what's right.
All right, sir. I really appreciate your call, and I thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing your opinion with us.
Thank you, sir.
Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Our representative, thank you, Josh. Josh Anderson just texted me. Jess Anco, who called in, and Vicki Underwood are the 2 representatives appointed by our city council here in our city mayor here in Clinton. So definitely reach out to Mayor Burton if you agree. You want him to fight to keep these books in, or if you don't agree and you want him to put people in that don't allow it. And Just Ann is against it. I know that. I'm certainly not putting. I don't know where Ms. Underwood stands, so I'm not going to pretend to. But I'm just, again, all I'm doing here today, when Jack just said, if you ask everybody in Anderson County, that's exactly what I'm doing. There's not a soul that lives in this county right now that doesn't have the opportunity to hear what I'm saying. Now, I know they're not. Everybody is, and everybody's not out listening to me. I understand that. They should be. They'd learn something. But that said, I know they're not. But there are enough of you that are, that should you want your neighbors to know about this, and should you want your city council and your mayor, your city county commissioners to know about this, I'm telling you, reach out to them. If you don't know who they are, call me, I'll tell you. If you don't know their telephone number, call me, I'll tell you. Yeah. Good morning, WYSH. Ask your neighbor. You're on the air.
Good morning to you, Ron, Meredith.
Hey, Mike. Hey, buddy.
I just wanted to give my 2 cents worth.
All
now,
right.
You reported the incident at the Clinton Library, and you were correlating that to the books that's in the library. Well, did them 2 14-year-olds, did they have a book laid out that was giving them instructions on what to do?
I don't know. I don't know if they had a book laid out. I don't know what they did or didn't have laid out, but, I mean...
Well, this is what I think happened. And I couldn't agree with Josh Anderson anymore or David Queener. It's called hormones. I don't know if you've noticed children that are growing up nowadays that are 13, 14, 15 years old, they look like they're 18.
Well, I know that. So why do they need help with book?
Well,
teaching them how to give oral sex to another man. Why do they need that, Mike?
Well, I thought I understood Commissioner Anderson say that those books are not available to them now.
They're behind.
Parents have to go in there and sign for them to get them from behind the desk. I don't think nobody else is hearing that.
Did he say they had to sign for them, or they had to be brave enough to come up and ask for them?
Parents had to agree for them to be able to check the books out.
Okay, all right.
So they're behind the desk there now. They're not up there on the shelf for them just to go pick out.
Okay.
Half the people that's called in, they didn't even hear that, I don't think, and I couldn't agree with him more. Of course, Anthony Allen's story, that was a nice one and all that, but yeah, he's I think on social media he's a little different character than what he presents himself as. But anyway, I just I couldn't agree with, and like I say, yeah, we paid for kids' cell phones and stuff, and you can find anything you want to find on a cell phone. You don't have to go to the Clinton Library. I guess I didn't realize that the Clinton Community Center, where I was growing up, back in the day there, it wasn't the community center, it was called the rec hall. But it's turned into the community center now. Evidently, I guess it's a boys and girls club. My son went to the community center and played basketball when he wasn't on the school team. The rest of the year, he was down at the community center, and that's where one of us picked him up at.
Yeah.
But evidently, that's not an option anymore.
It's not until in the evening. James David wants to do the same thing, but after school, but he's not allowed because up until I think about 6 o'clock, they don't open up the gym to regular folks doing what they're doing with the kids. I don't know what the time is right now, but he's had that issue too. He wanted to go after school and couldn't.
Okay, then. But I wanted to ask you too, Ron.
Well, I've got about 6 people behind you, so stay on this subject
I'll make
with
it
me.
Quick. I just what the guy's name was that was on up there with David WYSH yesterday. The truck driver or whatever his name was.
Dennis Hitchcock. Dennis Hitchcock.
Dennis Hitchcock.
He's Don Bell, a school board member, and that's Don's cousin, and they both their families were part of the bars and the Buford-Pusser era and all that back in the day.
Oh, okay.
So they got some stories to tell.
Oh, man, I like the John Cena story.
There you go, buddy.
That was cool there. But, all right, Ron, I appreciate your time, buddy.
Anytime, my friend. Thank you very much.
All right, see you, buddy. Bye.
See you. Bye-bye. Good morning. This is Ask Your Neighbor on WYSH. You're on the air.
Yeah. I just heard Mike talk about the books wasn't there, the folders wasn't there, all this other kind of stuff. But they were in that section. They were having sex. Now, I just want to say something about Josh Anderson. You heard Josh Anderson on the air a while ago, earlier in the show. Now, he is chairman of the library board. He fought and he fought and he fought to get these books to stay in the library. They've come up with different ways of doing this and that and the other, but if you've got the book hid in the folder with explicit sex names on that, that's enough to get children going. But anyway, Josh Anderson fought for this. Josh Anderson approves of this. Now, Josh Anderson, May the 5th, 2025, he's going to run for county mayor. 26. He's running for mayor on the Republican ticket. Now, if he's Republican, well, I don't think he's Republican. But anyway, everybody needs to remember that. Vote against him. Let's get rid of him and get rid of the other people on the library board that's for this and put some people in there that has some morals.
All right, pal. Thank you.
And why do we introduce our children to this kind of junk? I know they can get it on their phone. I know they can get it on other ways. But me as a taxpayer is not paying the phone bill. Me as a taxpayer is paying the library board. I'm against it 100%. I'm against Josh Anderson and the other school or library board members that's for it. But we don't need Josh Anderson as a county mayor to represent us with these kind of morals. Thank you.
All right, sir. Have a good day. Bye-bye. WYSH Radio, good morning. You're on Ask Your Neighbor.
Ron, I'm not from Henderson County. I live in Morgan County, and I've been listening to you for a long time. I have my own opinion of this. The good Lord is going to judge these people when they stand before the great white throne. Now, it's against the Bible to teach kids that homosexuality is all right. You know, you can't take a kid and send him to school for 8 hours. Teachers got him. They teach him all this reprobate, sorry stuff that the kids, can do whatever they want to. The homosexual is okay. They can think they're animals. I understand some places in the United States is teaching them that they're animals and they can go use the bathroom like a cat or a dog. That's against the teachings of God. This country is bad shape. If we don't get on our knees and get the Christian people to start praying for what's going to happen, we're going to be in trouble. We've got to get back to God. This country and the neighbors and the leaders and the school boards and the library boards, all of these people that's in charge needs to get their hearts right with God. And I'd preach a message on that in a heartbeat.
Well, I appreciate your opinion for sure.
Ron, I'm going to let you go there, but that's my opinion. I think somebody needs to do something about this. There's people that's honest, good people, church members that can stand up for what's right if they would have the guts to do it. Abraham Lincoln said, to sin by silence when one should protest makes cowards out of men. Stand up for what's right.
Thank you.
Do the right thing. Thank you, Ron. Have a good day, buddy.
Thank you, sir. You do the same. Bye-bye. There you go. Brad said we'd go over today, so if you guys have anything else to add, we will let you on here to do it. Again, I'm coming back to this. Most of you know where I stand on this. But the whole purpose today is to say, here is what is in our libraries, and here's what happened. And is this a correlation? This whole program that's going on, and all these callers, that's all I'm here to do. All I am doing Because I'm saying here, this is what's there. This is what's in there. This is, here are the sides. Here's what happened. Are we fostering this? And I know, they can get it on their cell phones, but cell phones aren't paid for with tax dollars. And why would, I just asked you to think about, why would kids think that's an okay place to go? Yeah, they're hormonal. They might anywhere, So by those of you that are listening, speaking your mind and your thoughts to others, what you think about this, you can affect change, or you can push the status quo. Everybody within the sound of my voice can call somebody that knows somebody that can do something. No matter what you want done. I'm going to take about a 3-minute break. I am going to take an exactly 3-minute break, and then I will come back and put any more callers that we have on, or I will end the program. If you're, and you guys are welcome, I think I've proven I'll let you say what you want to say. 865-457-1380. Back in 3 minutes.
It's the best 6 days of summer. The Anderson County Fair returns to the Anderson County Fairgrounds, 218 Nave Street in Clinton, July 14th through July 19th. General admission is only $10. Buy a season pass and get all 6 nights for $40. Children under 6 get in free. Carnival ride armbands, only $20 per evening. And this year, kids 15 and under get in free on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday. 5 nights. Kids 15 and under get in free. The Anderson County Fair has something for everyone. The Fairs to the Fair, the Truck Pull, Kids Fun Night, Living Heritage Skills Demonstration, Seniors Day, Farmers Day, and of course, don't forget the rides. The Anderson County Fair, July 14th through the 19th at the Anderson County Fairgrounds, 218 Nave Street in Clinton. Get more information at AndersonCountyFairTN.com. The Anderson County Fair.
Well, these polymers aren't as flexible as batch K3.
Researcher Laurie is stretched thin.
Did you get the vulcanization analytics from V66? Wait, are these rubber scores from last week?
She needs to hire new lab technicians so she can bounce back into her old self.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Our matching platform lets you spend less time searching and more time connecting with candidates. Redeem your $75 credit at Indeed.com/credit. Terms and conditions apply.
Find what you love, love what you find. A Total Wine and More. There's so much waiting for you. Spirits and beer, thousands of wines. Guys in the know and prices so low, it just might blow your mind. You're gonna find what you love and love what you find.
With curbside pickup and delivery available, you'll always find what you love, only at Total Wine & More.
Drink responsibly, B21.
See website for details. Bills Happen is not a lender and does not make credit decisions. Hey, bills happen. So when you need extra cash fast, go to BillsHappen.com. Have you been turned down? Are your credit cards maxed out? Do you have bad credit? Go to BillsHappen.com. All you need is a job and a checking account. You can find a lender and get up to $5,000 cash as early as tomorrow at BillsHappen.com. BillsHappen.com is the smart way to get a personal lender now. So if you need extra money for car repairs, medical bills, family emergencies, whatever you need cash for, go to BillsHappen.com and you can get the money you need as soon as the next day, up to $5,000. At BillsHappen.com, our process is safe, secure, and all online. No one to deal with in person. And Bills Happen does not charge you any fees to use our service. It's easy. When you need a lender, just remember, when bills happen, go to BillsHappen.com. BillsHappen.com for the cash you need now. BillsHappen.com.
All right, my friends and neighbors, I will tell you this, too. Let me see who I've got coming up on the program. I know Mayor Frank is going to be here. It's going to be July 14th that the mayor will be here. And I'll, if I remember, and I'll make a note, I'll ask, how she feels about this and where she stands on it. Of course, you know that David's going to be here on the 23rd, Monday the 23rd. I'm trying to go through. Sheriff Barker was here on the 18th. He'll be here on the 16th of July. So we've got a number of folks in our community that carry weight and stature that'll be on the program that we will be able to ask about this. And then, I just posed the question out here. I promise you, I would say 14 of the 16 commissioners are listening to us right now. And a number of folks in the city and around Anderson County. And so they've heard how some of you feel. And I just encourage you, no matter where you stand, I guess I'm encouraging you to sit back and post on Facebook about how bad this is, or, you know, to ramble about on social media. I understand a lot of folks do that and it really gets it off your chest. But a simple phone call to your elected official carries more weight than you imagine. And if you've ever ran for office or if you've ever held an office, you understand what I mean. The squeaky wheels get the grease. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter what it is. If you agree with what's happening, if you agree that with those books, whether they're behind the counter, on top of the shelf, if you have signed for them, think about this for a moment. In a public library with your tax dollars, if indeed these books are behind the shelf, and if indeed parents have to come and sign for them, is that the place for them in a taxpayer-funded public library? And if parents are going to go through the problem of coming down and signing a form that their kids can read books about sex, why don't they just teach them that at home or give them the books at home so that I don't have to pay for them? I mean, these are things to think about and ask about. You need to ask yourself if you're okay with that. I mean, it's just, like I've said many times, you know, I'd rather be safe than sorry. You don't get in trouble for, you know, not doing something. Have a fantastic day. Friday, weekend. And if there's anything we can do for you, anything I can help you with, if any of you out there have issues that you would like addressed, I'll do that. We'll do that. This is a forum I offer to anybody and everybody. I might debate you, or I might, you know, applaud you. I don't know. But that's not the purpose of the program. It's not called Ron's World. It's called Ask Your Neighbor. So, and there's a reason for that. Ron's World is sometimes different than y'all's. Have a great day. Thank you so much for listening. I'd love to hear from you. I know many of you don't want to be on the radio. That's fantastic. Reach out to me on WYSH Facebook page, WYSHradio.com. Any of you out there that have access to the internet have access to my cell phone number, my Facebook page, all that good stuff. But I would love to hear the quiet majority's thoughts on this. And I encourage you to have a polite conversation with your elected officials, your city mayors, the people that appoint library boards, or for that matter, whatever problem that you're having that rolls back to elected officials appointing people. You know, these are people that are appointed. They didn't run for office or anything, but they're appointed to foster, to teach, encourage, and in some cases babysit, as I said, your children. That's a pretty big responsibility to be given. You know, and that's the curse of being a mayor or whatever. You've got to assign those responsibilities. Did you assign the responsibility to somebody that really wants to put up pictures in a book that if I showed on TV, I could be taken off for showing sexually explicit material? I don't understand it. But that's me. And you're you. And if, you know what, if you think they ought to be out there loud and proud, then you let your elected officials know that as well. And we'll see where all this works out in the next little bit. Have a great day. Your support, thank you so much. I'm going to say one final time thank you to our Clinton police officers, Officer Gann, Officer Wilson, helped return Jacob's backpack. Little things like that, man. We live in a great place. And our first responders, our police, our fire, our EMS, our volunteer fire departments, all these people that they put themselves on the line to serve you and I. And just want to say thank you. I appreciate you guys, not because you returned it, but simply because you were kind enough to think to return it. And you do things like that for people all over the community all the time, and you don't get the recognition you deserve. And I just thought I'd try my best to give it to you, as much or as little as that means. Thank you, all of you, men and women that serve us. Have a great day.
Thank you for listening to AM 1380 WYSH and Ask Your Neighbor. Make sure you tune in at 10 a.m. each day, Monday through Friday, right here on AM 1380 WYSH.